Welcome to Philippine Politics and Governance. I am Maribel Dicaran, your teacher for this subject. Our topic is about political phenomenon. Subtopic is the concept, relationship, and importance of politics, governance, and government. Are you ready? Our learning competency is, at the end of this online learning lesson, the students will be able to explain the concept, relationship, and importance of politics, governance, and government. Second, clearly identify a specific political phenomenon and how it can be studied. First, we will look at the terms of this topic. 1. Political phenomenon. It is an event related to the government or the public affairs of a country. So the keyword there is an event or an affair in a certain country or government. Second, politics. Politics is the activities associated with the governance of a country or other area, especially the debate or conflict among individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve power. The keyword there is activities. Third, political science, the branch of knowledge that deals with systems of government. It's the analysis of political activity and behavior. When you say political science, it's a discipline, it's a branch of knowledge, meaning it is a subject area pertaining to the study of the systems of government. Fourth, governance. It is the action or manner of governing, meaning it is an action, meaning there is a system of governing. There is a type of or way of governing in a certain country. Fifth, government. It is the agency of the state through which the will of the state is formulated and carried out. So meaning there is a physical body that is in charge to manage the state. That is government. Okay, it's your turn. Comment down your observation based on the picture below. The meaning of politics, that is our first topic today. The word politics came from Greek word polis, which means affairs of the cities. Meaning, in the ancient time, politics is viewed as police, meaning it's the affairs or activities of the city. The city-state there is, during the Greek time, is Sparta, okay, just like it. Politics is the process of making decisions that apply to members of a group. It refers to achieving and exercising positions of governance, organized control over a human community, particularly a state. Meaning, politics is the process of making decisions. Okay, during the ancient time, during Greek times, people there or leaders there, they create decisions based on what they agreed, because you're in a small community. So if they will agree each other on a certain decision, then governance will follow. Okay, so let us look at the definition of politics according to certain authors. First, Harold Laswell. He defined politics as who gets what, when, and how. American political scientist Harold Laswell defined politics as this term, who gets what, when, and how. And he is concerned with how official government governmental decision-making and action identifies. So who gets what, meaning who in political society receives how much of what benefits. So the who there pertains to the person who receives benefit. How much of what benefits, rewards, and advantages. So meaning how heavy, how large of the benefits that he or she receives or awards from a certain society. When they receive such. So example, if a certain official has this position, he or she will gradually create a system of governance that he will iyang gamiton para i-lead or implement sa usa ka state. So mahitabo na dayon nga unsa may ma-benefit ana nga law or nga policy kanus kana ma-receive sa mga tao, such and the methods by which they receive such benefits, rewards, and advantages. Unsa kahay pamaagi para madawat sa mga tao. Example, the vaccine of the coronavirus pandemic. Unsaon unsa kay sistema sa gobyerno para madawat sa mga tao ang vaccine? Is it selective or universal? Or everyone can acquire the vaccine? So that's the problem. That is the process of politics. According to Joven 2016, politics is commonly defined as the process that determines the distribution of power and resources. So this Joven 2016, he highlighted, same as Harold Laswell, he mentioned of the process. So ang iya pong i-identify diri is more on the distribution of power. Later in our lesson, we will tackle on power on the next competency. Okay, so distribution of power and resources. Unsaon kahana ni official pag-distribute ang iyang power as president or as senator or as congressman? Saan ka na niya pag-delegate sa iyang other constituents? It is about theory and practice of how people influence others in making decisions and carrying out projects and programs. Further, so in this definition, Joven highlighted also on the practice of how people influence others in making decisions, especially during this pandemic time. So one municipality will create a certain policy or ordinance, then the others will follow. So how people influence this kind of decision? So dali ra kaayo because of social media. Makit-an dayon ang decision sa usa ka municipality apply din sa uban. Same as Manila, the famous one, Esco Moreno and Pasig, Vico Soto. According to Andrew Haywood, he said that politics is the activity through which people make, preserve, and amend general rules under which they live. Okay? Harold Laswell and Joven emphasizes on the process. Haywood emphasizes on the activity. Unsa may activity? Activity which people make in a certain society or in a certain community that they live. Okay, say for instance in the Philippines, we have this new normal thing. Preserve. How do you preserve? Preserve a certain culture, a certain rules, a certain tradition. And amend. Amend means changing a certain rules in the society. Okay, we need to change in this time of pandemic. We no longer display our Example, di na ta pwede nga maglakaw nga walay mask. Why? There is an ordinance, there is a law prohibiting that not to should us sa tawa na kanang atong giingnan ingon gid sa ato nga to wear mask. Okay, there are basic concepts of politics. One is order. This is not like order in the court. So order is the central study of politics because it shows different components of human society. Okay? One of the structures of order is order in the community. It is one kind of social order which refers to the association of individuals who shares a common identity. Okay, if a certain community has this order, then violent crimes is absent. That is one concept of politics. Government. It is a higher level of social order that exists primarily for the maintenance and perpetuation of the community. So if the government impose order not to example, not to welcome terrorists in the Philippines, that is one of the process. Next, not to restrict rules with regards to the coming in and out of passengers in the Philippines to what? Para lessen the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, that is one of the concept of politics. Okay, order in the government. Third one, state. State is the largest social order today, and in which the term politics originally derived. Okay, there is order in the state. Every country or state has this process in implementing peace and order. Same as the Philippines, they have also peace and order. Next, power. Power is the main source of reign of the government. The possession is to govern or rule of the state. So there are different types of power to be mentioned in the next lessons. But when you say power, it's the reign of the government. When you say reign, it's the supreme sword of the government to rule a certain country or state. Justice. Justice is the process of legalizing and penalizing the abuse of political power and power to rule. So, if power is exceeding, then justice will prevail. So there would be a process of legalizing and penalizing a certain official who abuse one's power. If the government gives what people need, protect and respect their rights, and put the common good over and above the personal interests of the leaders, then there is said to be justice. So meaning not rule over men, but rule of law. Law over men. Dili men over law, not men over law. Okay, again, justice is present if there is law over men. Okay, then I will ask you, who gets to emerge as the leader? What makes a person qualified to gain the power that other members of the group entrust to the leader? What will be the decision of the group? Okay, akong Bisayaon, kinsa kaha ang mahimong leader? Okay, unsa kaha ang mga qualification or dapat buhaton para parang usa ka tawo mag-gain og trust, gain power para tuuhan siya sa usa ka as a leader. What will be the decision of the group? Unsa kahay decision sa ubang tawo? Okay? Why study politics? Why study political science? Political science is the study of a range of political ideas, events, actions, and institutions. Okay, so broad ka ni siyang political science. In college, this is a course. This is one program that is studied for 4 years. Okay, it includes both understanding and explaining the world of politics that is all around us. Okay, in this discipline, there is a coverage of the national law, international law, okay, pertaining to the political ideas or ideologies, events of a certain country. So in this discipline, it studied there the actions, the institutions, the events of a certain government. Why study politics? First, it helps you to know your rights. That is the basic rule. We should know our rights. One of the basic rule is, example, Article 3, Section 1, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process of law. So that is the basic one. No person is allowed to take over your rights. Second, it clarifies what you believe. Yes, the government or the state clarifies what you believe, or you yourself, you need to clarify what you believe in, unless you will be the terrorist. So that's not, yes, it could be a study of politics. It helps you understand the affairs of our nation. Okay, since we are studying events, ideas, affairs of the state, it helps us understand the activities of our nation. Fourth one, it prepares you for adult life. Since politics is everywhere, okay, the way we dress up, that is the politics. The way we brush our teeth, that is politics. Why? Kinsa man di ay, example, okay, kinsa man di ay ang tag-iya sa atong mga giwear nato. This is not ours. It is a product of politics. There is process in it. There is power or order, justice in creating it. Just look at the concepts of politics. It will relate all our activities. Okay? Then, now, it's your turn. What do you think is the importance of studying politics in you or in this time of pandemic? Write it down in your sheet of paper. Okay, let's breathe in. The next topic is the meaning of governance. Okay, so based on our competency, we already discussed politics. Second one is the meaning, the concept, the relationship of governance, government. Later, we will study about the concept of government. Governance is all of the processes of governing, whether undertaken by a government, market, or network, whether over a family, tribe, formal or informal organization, or territory, and whether through the laws, norms, and power or language of an organized society. So meaning, it's all about processes of governing, how the government is governed by a certain individual. Okay? Doesn't mean that governance only falls on the concept of government, but also over a family. Sa inyong balay, unsay paagi sa pagpangulo sa imong mga magpapa, or ikaw, usang paagi nga nangulo ka sa inyong balay, or a certain tribe na abay tribu sa inyo ha, or a certain organization nga imong giapilan, or a certain territory or community that you are in, that you are living in, inyong purok, inyong barangay, or inyong city or municipality. Processes and actors in governance. Okay, there are processes. 1. We need to identify the decision-making and implementation of a certain government. Okay? Decision-making first before implementation. So there should be a plan. Okay, a plan on it. Second, the actors and structures. You need to identify who governs a certain government. What are the structures or the processes or the organization that will take place? Example, in a certain business, you need to identify who is the actor of that business. Okay, what kind of CEO is that? What is the type of governing or leadership that he applies? Third, informal actors and bad governance. So we can identify these informal actors. Who are these informal actors? Those were the non-government organization, okay, or NGOs, okay. Those are informal actors. The actors could be, the formal actors could be the government, okay, the officials elected. The informal actors are those not elected but it's voluntary. They are contained in a group that they wanted to govern voluntarily, okay. But we cannot escape bad governance. In our country, in the Philippines, we have this civil service charter. So meaning everything you do, there is a process. For example, if you go to SSS or PhilHealth, you want to buy, not you want to buy, you want to pay something, there is a certain steps to follow. That is Citizens Charter. Okay, there is a minute to process or a minute to finish, meaning in Bisayan version, there is transparency or mahumandahin kag dali because there is a process na ay oras nga imong tagdan. There are indicators of good governance. We can identify a certain country, a certain person that is exhibiting good governance if there is this 8 indicators. 1, there is participation, meaning a certain group or organization participate in a certain activity or process. So they collaborate each other. Second, there is rule of law, meaning the processes that they applied, they base on the code, they base on the laws, they base on the rules. Third one, there is effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness meaning the services that they offered is effective to their client. And efficiency, when you say efficiency, time bound, meaning the services that they offered is efficient, and not effective. Meaning there is efficient delivery, smooth delivery. So ang imong gusto or imong gikinahanglan is na-address dayon sa usa ka tao or a certain group. Fourth, transparency, see-through governance, meaning based on the transactions that you have processed, there is no hidden agenda. That is transparency. Fifth, responsiveness, meaning the questions that you are clarifying to a certain group or person or a leader, they have this answer. They respond immediately based on your concern. 6, equity and inclusiveness. When you say equity, meaning there is just, fair, and they don't select clients. Inclusive, it's open to all, not exclusive. 7, it's consensus oriented, meaning if they agreed to this decision, then they will follow it. 8, the last one is accountability, meaning the services that they are offering they are accountable to it. Then, what is the difference between governance and government? First, governance is the act of governing or ruling. Okay, as I've said, it is the process of governing or ruling a certain group or organization. It is the set of rules and laws framed by the government that are to be implemented through the representatives of the state. So governance could be implemented by the representative of the state. Next one. Government describes a more rigid and narrower set of activities among a narrower set of participants, usually civil servants, elected politicians, and some influential privileged interests. So when you say government, it is a set of participants or individuals that is in charge of delivering or implementing a certain policy or activity. They are the privileged one. Why? They are sometimes elected or appointed based on rank and file. Government is an agency of the state through which the will of the state is formulated, expressed, and carried out. So, in this agency, people there communicate in order to address or formulate laws, express their needs, and carry out their decisions based on their needs. Okay? It is a group of people who rule or run the administration of a country. How a government is formed? A government is formed because there is constitution, through legitimacy, and through election. Constitution may be written. What is constitution? It may be written or unwritten laws. It is a fundamental law of the land. It is the basic principles and laws of a nation, state, or a social group that determine the powers and duties of the government and guarantee certain rights to the people in it. Okay, our constitution in the Philippines is written constitution, 1987 constitution. Next one, it should have legitimacy. It is a popular acceptance of a government, a political regime, or a system of governments. A government is legit or has legitimacy if it is widely accepted by everyone that the system of governance or the system of governing in a certain state is justifiable. So there is legitimacy. Election. A state or a certain government is created because there is the formal process of selecting a person for public office or of accepting or rejecting a political proposition by voting. So in a certain government, there is election. But not all. There are forms of government. One is monarchy. It refers to a government ruled by a single person. Example of this is the United Kingdom, ruled by Queen Elizabeth. In other countries, it is called king, sultan, or prince. Next one is constitutional monarchy. A monarchy is ruled by a constitution. Example, United Kingdom, Spain, Japan. King Philip VI of Spain, in the left side of the picture. Next one is oligarchy. Oligarchy or aristocracy refers to a small group of people. Oligarchy means it is ruled by a few persons, but there's no country that is ruled by a few persons today. If you are doubt of it, then you can search it. There's no a specific country that is ruled by few, but there is a certain country that is ruled by one, a certain king or a monarch. But there is a certain group of people that is ruled by few, or an organization that is ruled by few. Example of this is a certain group of people, a giant in a certain business, sila mo yung pinaka dato. See the Lopezes, they said that they are oligarchs. They rule a certain country because of their business. Next one, direct democracy is based on the Athenian form of government. Refers to the rule of the people who directly participate in all government activities. So this is the kind of government during the Greek time, the Athenian form of government, meaning based on their there is direct participation in the government activities. So they decide it in a crowd meeting, in a group meeting. Next one is representative democracy. It was an innovation introduced by the Romans, where citizens exist and they elect representatives who will defend their interests in the government. So in present times, representative democracy is a system where citizens of a country vote for government representatives to handle legislation and ruling the country on their behalf. So example, in the Philippines, we elected representatives. Example, senators, congressmen, barangay captains, mayors, sangguniang bayan, sangguniang panlalawigan councils. Now, we will tackle on the systems of democratic government. One of the systems of democratic government is presidential system. It recognizes the president as the highest official and head of the executive branch. Legislature could be unicameral. When you say unicameral, it is ruled by one assembly, one legislative body. Bicameral, it is ruled by a Senate and a House of Representatives. Example, in the Philippines, the system of government is presidential. Why? Wala tayo prime minister. Only the president. The president is the head of the state, and at the same time, the president is the head of the government. There are countries that are unicameral. I cannot mention the Philippines. Okay, we will focus on the Philippines. The Philippines experienced a unicameral legislature during the time of American time and Spanish time. Parliamentary system is characterized by a close relationship between the executive and the legislative branches. In this system, the government is headed by the prime minister. Example, Japan. Japan is headed by a prime minister. That is not Shinzo Abe. It's no longer Shinzo Abe. There is a new prime minister. Another one, prime minister in China, as Xi Jinping, okay, and other countries. So there is a relationship between executive and the legislative branches, meaning they get prime minister on the legislative branches or in their assembly. Next one, there is a combination of presidential and parliamentary system. As the name suggests, it is a combination of the two. So in this system, the president is elected by the citizens. He or she then appoints cabinet from the members of the legislative branch. The president may dissolve the parliament or assembly and organize a new government. The president is the head of this government. The prime minister is the head of the state. Meaning, The president is in charge of overall function, but the prime minister is in charge of the specific affair. No, it's different. When you say the president is in charge of the government and the prime minister is in charge of the state affairs, the laws imposed, but they work hand in hand. Federal government is composed of individual states with their own democratic governments that come together as a federation. There is a clear division of power between federal and member state. One of the examples of this is USA. Federal government is headed by the president. And then, since it is a federation state, so there is autonomy of power with regards to another state and a certain state, a state within a state. Example, USA has 50 states, and each 50 states has their own laws to be imposed based on their constitution. But the law of a certain state may be different to another state. There are three branches of the Philippine government. One is legislative, executive, and judicial. Okay, to make it short and simple, when you say legislative, it makes the law. They create law. Who creates law? The Congress, the Senate, the House of Representatives. Who carries out the law or implements the law? The president, the vice president, the cabinet. Okay. Example, who are those cabinet heads? Department heads. So they are under executive. Department of Education, Department of Public Works and Highways, and all those departments. They belong to executive. They carries out the law or they implement the law. The third one is judiciary. They evaluate the law. They evaluate the laws created by the legislative or the executive. The executive can make laws also. The president can make laws also. Okay, but all those things, all those discussion here with the executive, legislative, and judiciary will be discussed on the further lesson. Okay, so yes, I have summed it up.